Hey, DFW's Cars here, how's it going? Before I get to talking about just how great this car is, the good things it does and what it is and what it's meant to be, there are a few features we've kind of come to expect on a 2017 car that's, you know, over 30 grand. So let me run through those quickly first. As you might imagine, the trunk is kind of deep, but still fairly small. And the best part is I needed to send off a package. It wasn't particularly large, but getting it in there required some tricks. So trying to use this car as my daily driver for the things you need to do every day did pose some challenges. Missing, like automatic headlights, automatic wipers, no backup camera, and no glove box. This last one I'm sure is just me, but I went to plug in my radar detector because a car like this is meant to go fast. I could not find a cigarette lighter anywhere here, although this kind of does make up for there not being a glove box. There's a nice little storage area back there. Oh yeah, no automatic climate control either. Mazda does have them on other 2017 cars. Or take the sun visor. I could live without it having a light in the mirror there. But if you need to get it over here for blocking sun, it is just a, you know, plastic piece that appears to be built right in there. The interior is a great feature of this car. Down here you get the metal door sills that actually say MX-5 on them. Really nice steering wheel here. Gauges are very nice as well, very clear, give you all the information you need. Not a huge fan of these vents. They look kind of cool, but in person they feel a bit plasticky. I do like how they put the metal around here. This could look better. There definitely could be some metal surrounds on it. Nice start stop engine button there. Did find the accessory plug. It is way back there. It's kind of fun to get to. Hard to do from the driver's seat. Nice red stitching here. I do like this metal piece here. The plastics they use on this car are, for the most part, very nice. Like these. Also this plastic here that looks like has that carbon fiber look to it. Cup holders that are pretty tricky to access back here. Hot seats, but they have good bolstering and they're fairly comfortable. Although it doesn't have a backup camera, this one does see cross traffic alert feature. It must be part of the blind spot monitoring. That is pretty helpful because with the convertible up, which it's 27 degrees out today, I don't have much choice, really is a lifesaver. But any of the shortcomings of the car I mentioned kind of earlier, you forget about really quickly, and how you do that is you get it on the road, specifically on a curvy kind of back road. Let me just kind of run through how that is for you experience. So the steering is simply superb. Any mechanical steering with rear wheel drive has my vote of confidence there. The engine noise, well, you can hear it for yourself. Definitely have to push that engine quite a bit to get the kind of best performance out of it. So I think the engine would be the one area of improvement on this, you know, car, generally speaking. It feels a little short when you really want to push it. Also, the Fiat is a little bit more refined, and I don't mean that in like, oh, it's like a luxury car. No, neither of them are. But it just has ever so much better ride quality. It's ever so much quieter. With the turbo, believe it or not, it's ever so much less ashy would be the right word there. So put them together, make it a car where you definitely should drive both variants, because everyone asks me, like, which do you recommend? It's really going to come down to your personal preference. Some people are going to like the more rawness, more, I guess, kind of aggressive looks of the MX-5. Now, as I'm taking a turn here, I want to talk a little. I love how it pivots, that limited slip rear diff. You could call yourself a rear-wheel drive sports car if you don't have that feature on there. So that, the Brembo brakes on this car definitely have never left myself wanting more braking power. It's a really good thing. The chassis suspension setup on really bumpy roads, which you shouldn't be that surprised at, or at higher speeds. This does have the more sporty one, which I would not give up at all, because the base suspension's definitely a little soft here. The pros and cons of that, you know, when you're driving aggressively, it's a huge pro at very highway speeds on a little rougher highway, or really just any higher speeds on this car, is a little bit challenging and tricky. Noise is another thing, especially if you've come out of a quieter car before, and I'm not comparing this to like a Bentley or anything like that. This car is loud compared to most cars out there, and even other convertibles. So that's definitely an area where Mazda, and I'm sure they will get around to double lining this top. It's not going to add much weight, which I understand from Mazda, and I love that about them. You know, is kind of the holy grail of keeping their cars very light and tossable, which they've done. My final conclusion on this car is I'm on the right back road with this car. It is an absolute beast, which I love and adore, and when I can put that top down and just rev the engine and take some curves, it's probably one of my favorite cars in the world. Given my, you know, circumstances and where I live and the kind of driving I do, if I couldn't, and a lot of people do have Miatas as second cars, and it makes sense, but if I couldn't necessarily have this as a second car, it'd be a little bit tricky to have first as a daily driver, just because that's really the main area where that's the flip side. Everyday driving, road trips, running errands, you know, is on the more aggressive side. That's something you should definitely consider, and if you're convinced you want the small two-seat, you know, very light, nimble roadster, if you're kind of leaning more towards that driving, that's when you might want to check out the Fiat. But I definitely would say the looks on this car are more interesting than the Fiat, which again, that's subjective though. Make your decision one way or the other though, because even though they are very similar, you know, cars underneath, they've done great work with the sheet metal, making them look different. So that may make the decision for you. I know for a lot of folks, you know, aesthetics are a big part of, you know, why they buy a car. I've driven both within a fairly short period of time. Really don't think you can compare them, and that's probably not the answer you want to hear, but they are fundamentally different cars. This is more of, it's like Beauty and the Beast. Not to say this car is not attractive, but this is more the beast. This is the more raw car of the two, although the Abarth comes pretty close. It bridges the gap nicely, whereas, you know, the Fiat is more, okay, I'm gonna put the top down, go for a cruise, but when a turn does come, I will still enjoy it, and it'll still handle it well. I have to bet the demographics on this car, the Fiat buyer, if nothing else because of all the nostalgia, both because that was a car that was around when a lot of Miata buyers, some of you viewers, probably weren't even alive, and some of the Fiat tends to have a higher, you know, age. I'm gonna assume Fiat's gonna raise the prices because they're close, but in a lot of cases, the Fiat tends to be a little bit cheaper, and you get the Italian engine there. So again, they can't really be compared because they're just different enough, and I'm sure Mazda and Fiat did that very intentionally. One last thing, when I have this car in third, I don't know if you guys can hear it, there's almost this whirl. It is kind of the most, it sounds like a turbo whoosh almost, and it's probably with the more performance-oriented exhaust, and that sound is just great. Any questions or comments you guys have? So until next time, my speedy racers, drive on.